The last thing Bob Fleming remembered was the alien's eyes looking at him inside the closet. 2 days later, when his daughter found him at home, there were unexplainable marks on his body. Welcome to Shelley's Mysterious Files. Today's story is about a terrifying abduction incident that took place in rural Colorado and resulted in 2 days of missing time. Our witness still trembles when trying to remember that night. Let's begin. Bob, thank you for sharing this difficult experience with us. First, could you introduce yourself and tell us where you were living on that terrible night?
Of course, Shelley. I'm Bob Fleming, 58 years old, a retired electrician. I live alone in rural Colorado, outside a small town. My wife passed away 5 years ago. My daughter Sarah lives in the city. That night, my life completely changed.
Before that night, have you ever encountered paranormal events? What did you think about UFOs and aliens?
No, I never dealt with such things. I'm an electrician, a technical man. I believe what I see, what I can measure. UFO stories always seemed nonsense to me. I'd say Hollywood nonsense until that night happened.
What time did the events start that night? What did you notice first, and how did this alert you?
Around 11:30 p.m. I was watching television, watching the news. The house was very quiet. Only the sound of the TV was there. Suddenly, strange sounds started coming from outside. It was like metal creaking, but at the same time, there was a very low-frequency hum, like a very large machine was running. At first, I said maybe a truck broke down, but the sound seemed to be getting closer. It had an abnormal tone, very strange. I live in a rural area. Nights are usually very quiet, but these were sounds I had never heard before, like a metallic hum mixed with machine noise.
What was your reaction when you heard these sounds? How did the moment when you decided to look outside develop?
The sounds seemed to be getting closer. I got curious. I went to the window. When I looked outside through the curtains, my God, I will never forget that moment. In the air, 30 meters in front of my house, there was a very large object. It was hovering silently, but blue lights were coming from below.
Can you describe the appearance of that object in more detail? What shape did it have and how big was it?
It was very big, about 20 meters wide. It was in the classic flying saucer shape, but its edges were very sharp and metallic. There were small lights on top, blinking. The most frightening part was that it made no sound. How can such a big thing hover silently? It made no sense at all.
What was the first emotion you felt when you saw that object? What did you decide to do?
I froze with fear. My legs were shaking, my heart rate increased very much. I kept saying to myself, this can't be real. But it was there, very clearly visible. Then I panicked, moved away from the window, but I didn't know what to do. For some reason, hiding in the closet came to mind.
Why did you decide to hide in the closet while in panic? What went through your mind when making this decision?
It looks very silly, but it seemed logical at that moment. There was a big closet in my bedroom. My old clothes were there. I thought maybe they won't see me. I used to hide in the closet when I was scared as a child too. Silly, but I couldn't find any other solution at that moment.
How did you feel when you got inside the closet? Could you hear the sounds coming from outside?
It was very narrow and hot, but I felt somewhat safe. I could hear my heartbeat. That low hum was still coming from outside, but closer, as if that thing was approaching the house. I was trying to breathe, but I was very scared.
Could you observe outside through the gap in the closet? What did you see first?
Yes, I had opened the closet door just a little. I could see my bedroom. At first, everything was normal, but then a blue light started entering the room. It was very soft, but powerful light. Everything in the room had taken on a bluish color.
Where was this bluish light coming from? Were you feeling any change in the room?
It seemed to come from the window, but it spread in a very strange way, as if the light was hanging in the air. The air had also changed. There was an electric feeling. My hair was standing on end. At that moment, I understood that thing was very close.
What else did you experience while waiting inside the closet? How did your fear level change?
Fear had reached its peak. My mouth was bone dry. My hands were shaking. The worst part was waiting. I was thinking, what will they do? Will they find me? On one hand, I was trying to convince myself maybe I'm imagining things.
How did the moment when the alien being opened the closet door happen? Can you tell that moment step by step?
Suddenly I heard footsteps in the room, but not normal footsteps, a very light sound. Then a shadow appeared in front of the closet. My heart felt like it would stop. The closet door slowly started opening. I couldn't breathe.
How did that being look when you first saw it? Can you describe its physical features?
It was very tall, about 2 meters. It looked very thin and pale. Its head was very big. Its eyes were huge and black. Its nose and mouth were very small. The most frightening part was there was no expression on its face. It was just looking at me, showing no emotion.
What did you feel the moment you made eye contact with that being? Was any communication established between you?
It was a very strange feeling. When I looked into its eyes, it seemed like something was happening in my mind. There were no words, but it was as if it was saying, "Be calm." Fear suddenly decreased, but a very strange stillness came. Then I don't remember anything.
How was your first moment after you fainted? Where did you wake up, and what did you see around you?
I woke up in a very bright place. I was lying on a metal table. My surroundings were very bright, but I couldn't see the light source. The ceiling of the room was very high. There were strange panels on the walls, illuminated buttons and such. Nothing looked familiar.
Were there other beings in that bright room? Could you observe what they were doing to you?
Yes, there were 3 to 4 of them. They all looked similar, but their heights were different. They had strange tools in their hands. They were touching my body, scanning. They weren't causing pain, but it was very uncomfortable. I couldn't move, as if I was paralyzed.
How long did this test process last, and what kind of interventions did they perform on you?
I couldn't perceive time, maybe 1 hour, maybe more. They took blood from my arm, put something on my head. The strangest part was they made a small cut on my leg and placed something very thin there. It was like metal, but very small.
Did you establish any communication with them during these tests? Did they say anything to you?
They weren't moving their mouths, but I was hearing voices in my mind, something like, "We won't harm you." But it wasn't very clear, like voices heard in a dream. Once I heard something like, "You are important, but I'm not sure."
Do you remember the moment you lost consciousness again? How did you wake up afterwards?
Yes, suddenly I started feeling very tired. My eyes closed and deep sleep came. The next thing I remember was my daughter Sarah's voice. She was saying, "Dad, Dad, wake up." I was in my own bed, in my own house.
In what condition did Sarah find you?
Sarah was very worried. I hadn't been answering phones for 2 days. The neighbors hadn't seen me either. Sarah took time off work and came to Colorado. She used the spare key to open the house. She found me in deep sleep in bed.
When you told Sarah what you experienced, how did she react? Did she believe you?
At first she was very worried. She said, "Dad, you had a very bad dream." She said maybe due to stress. I could tell she didn't believe me. She even told me to go to a doctor. Despite telling it in such detail, she thought it was imagination.
When did you notice the marks on your body? How did these marks look?
I noticed when taking a shower, there was a needle mark on my left arm and a small cut on my leg. The strangest was 3 dot-shaped marks on my neck. Very small, but distinct. Normally, such marks shouldn't be there.
When you showed these physical marks to Sarah, did her attitude change?
Yes, she became a bit suspicious. She asked, "Where did these marks come from, Dad?" I told her what I experienced again. This time she listened more seriously, but was still suspicious. She said, "Maybe you fell. You don't remember."
Did you go to a doctor after this experience? Did you get medical explanation about the marks?
Yes, at Sarah's insistence I went to Dr. Patricia Williams. She looked at the marks, found them very strange. She said, "These marks look like medical intervention marks, but I can't understand what kind of intervention." She referred me to another doctor for more detailed examination.
What did you learn in this second doctor examination? Did you get information about the metal piece in your leg?
Dr. Martinez took x-rays. There really was a very small metal piece in my leg. He asked, "What is this?" I told him aliens had placed it, but he looked very skeptical. He offered to remove the metal piece, but I refused.
Why did you refuse to have that metal piece removed? What was your thinking on this matter?
Very strange, but I felt that piece should be there, as if there was a reason for it. maybe to track me, maybe for something else. Also, I was afraid of what would happen if it was removed. I preferred not to touch it.
What kind of changes did you experience in your life after this incident? Did you feel any difference in your behavior?
Very big changes happened. I started having trouble sleeping at night. I constantly checked the sky. Also, I started having strange dreams. I see those aliens in my dreams as if they're communicating with me.
What do they tell you in these dreams? What messages do you receive?
It's not clear, but messages like "be ready" come. Something like "time is approaching." I don't know what I need to be ready for, but I constantly receive such warnings. Sometimes it seems very real, sometimes just a dream.
Have you been feeling any physical changes since the metal piece has been in your body?
Yes, very strange things. Electronic devices malfunction around me. My phone constantly shuts down. My watch stops. Also, sometimes that metal piece in my leg gets warm. Especially when it's night, it gets warm.
In what situations does the metal piece's warming occur? Are there specific times?
Mostly it gets warm at night, especially when I see strange lights in the sky. It gets very warm, like a signal device connected to them. Maybe they're tracking me this way.
Have you remembered other details about those missing 2 days? Have you tried hypnosis therapy?
Dr. Williams suggested hypnosis therapy, but I haven't done it yet. I'm afraid, what if I remember worse things? For now, there are only pieces coming in dreams. Maybe I'll remember naturally over time.
Have you done research about similar cases after experiencing this?
Yes, I researched a lot on the internet. I read similar stories. I learned that other people in Colorado also experienced abduction. This comforts me a bit. I understand I'm not alone.
What kind of similarities did the similar cases you found have with yours?
Very similar. Most have nighttime abduction, tests in bright room, placing metal implants in body. The most common point is receiving messages in dreams afterwards. I guess they do these procedures to everyone.
How do you interpret the "you are important" message? Why might they have chosen you?
I have no idea. I'm an ordinary electrician, nothing special about me. Maybe they choose randomly. Maybe it's related to living in rural area. Or maybe they really have a reason, but I can't understand it yet.
Have Sarah's thoughts about this incident changed over time? Does she believe you more now?
She softened a bit over time, especially after the metal piece was found in my body. She approaches more seriously. She's still not completely convinced, but says maybe he really experienced something. Even this is big progress for me.
Are you afraid of encountering them again in the future, or are you curious?
Both. On one hand, I'm very scared. It was a very traumatic experience. On the other hand, I'm very curious about why they chose me, what they wanted. If they come again, I'll try to be more prepared this time.
Have you ever thought about having the metal piece in your leg removed? Is your decision on this final?
Sometimes I think about it, but then I give up. That piece feels like a connection point. If I remove it, maybe they can't find me, or maybe something bad will happen. For now, it seems better for it to stay there.
How did this experience change your view on paranormal topics?
It changed completely. Now I understand that the universe is much more complex than we think. Just believing what you see with your eyes is not enough. There are too many unknowns. Humanity thinks too narrowly. We need to be more open-minded.
What kind of reactions do you get when sharing this story with people?
Most people approach skeptically. They say you dreamed, you imagined due to stress. But some believe, especially those who experienced similar things. Talking to them is very comforting.
Since the metal piece is still with you, does this situation constantly make you nervous?
Sometimes yes, especially when it gets warm, I get very tense. I wonder if they'll come. But I'm starting to get used to it over time. It's like part of my life now, even though it's strange.
Finally, what advice would you give to people who experienced similar encounters?
Don't be afraid. They're not alone. Take what they experienced seriously. Keep records. Go to doctors. Document physical evidence. Most importantly, don't stay silent. Tell people they trust. This silence is very difficult.
Bob, thank you very much for sharing this difficult experience with us. I'm sure your courage will help other people.
Thank you, Shelley. Telling this story wasn't easy, but I think people need to know. Maybe other people who experience similar things won't feel alone anymore.
What do you think about this 2-day missing time experience that Bob Fleming had in Colorado? The metal piece in his body is still there and still gets warm. Is it a real abduction case or a traumatic imagination? Share your thoughts with your comments. See you in the next video.